a JavaScript function. Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. Number-based calculations and logic are a common topic in coding interviews, and mastering them can give you an edge over other candidates. In this video, we are tackling 19 must-know number-based challenges that frequently appear in technical interviews and coding assessments. From checking if a number is even or odd to converting Roman numerals to integers and generating random numbers within a specified range, these problems will help you to sharpen your problem solving skills, improve your logical thinking, and prepare for the real world coding interviews. Whether you are preparing for the job interviews, coding contest, or just want to level up your JavaScript skills, this video has covered everything. So grab a notebook, follow along, and let's get started. And if you get stuck anywhere, drop a comment. I am here to help. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Code with Poonam for more awesome coding content. Let's proceed with the challenge. The first question, what is written? Write a JavaScript function that checks if a number is even or odd and logs the result. So let's break the question. Whenever you get a question, you need to break the question. So what is the first here? JavaScript function. You have to write this JavaScript function. Okay. Then you have to check whether the number is even or odd, right? So take this and write that as well. And what is the third thing they have said? Log the result, right? This is the third thing we have to do. Now, how to write a function that we know, right? Function name. Okay. So let us just write that function, and the function name we are going to create here is check even or odd, because it is similar to this, right? So check even odd, we can create it, and we know that whenever we create a function, invocation of a function is a must, right? So let us invoke this function, and what they said, the number. So let us pass the number to this function over here as an argument, and here we will receive it in the params, right? So I'll write here as a number. Now just console this number and just test whether we are able to receive it from here or not. So we'll come to the terminal and we will write node 01 and we will run it with our file name. You see 7. That means we are able to get it. So we have successfully written a JavaScript function. Now what is the second thing? Check if a number is even or odd. So how do we will check? To check this, we have to see whether the number is completely divisible by 2 or not, right? If it is divisible by 2, that means it is an even number. So by this, how can we test it? We can check with a if condition, right? So we are going to use a if condition over here. So if else statement we will use, and we will try to do that. So we'll write here if that number modulus of 2 is equal to 0, then I will just write here console.log, and we will write here number is even. Okay, let us just change this u also to a small, and then we can just write here the number as well. And in the else statement, we can just write here console.log number is odd, and that is where you will be able to get this even or odd. So if this will run if it is true, and you will get this as output. Otherwise the else part will run and it will give this particular as an output. So let us see how it logs the result. So number is odd, which is that number 7, right? You can write a hyphen as well to get that over here. And now let us call this one more time, this particular function, by passing a 10. So if you see here, now it will go and it will give me what? 10. The number is even. So now we can just do one thing. We can just comment this console.log number, and we will just run this once again. And you get here number is odd 7, number is even 10. So we are successfully able to solve our first coding challenge question, that is write a function that checks if a number is even or odd, and we have logged the result as well. So we have broken down into 3 different parts and we have solved it. Okay, I hope you all have understood this question. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is write a JavaScript function that checks if a given number is prime or not. So let's go to our VS Code and let's start solving this particular question. So if you see, the same question is mentioned over here as well. So if you see, let us break down this particular question. So it's written write a JavaScript function, right? So let us take this and let us come here and let us Write it over here, JavaScript function. And in the second part, you have seen here, what is it written? Check if a given number is prime or not. So we will take this particular thing and we will mention it over here that as well. So I'll come here and we'll mention this over here. Now, since this function is related to a prime, let us write a function name is prime. Okay, is prime. Now here we come here. Now given number is prime or not, for that first we have to understand what is a prime number. So what is a prime number? A number which is divisible by itself and 1, right? By 1 and itself. And also number 1, okay, 1 is not a prime number. Okay, so we will write two conditions over here. So we will what do? First, let us understand and first let us write this particular function over here, and let us then we will go for this part as well. So let us write here function, and the function name is prime. Okay, so let us proceed here, and whenever we write a function, function invocation is must. So we will write the function and we'll invoke a function over here. Now the number which is being set, let us pass this function from here as an argument, and let us receive it over here as a param in a form of a number itself. Okay, so let us console this number and let us see whether we are able to accept this number which we are sending it from here or not. So we will come here, and what we will write in the terminal, we will write the node and our file name. So if you see, I got this 7. That means we are successfully able to accept whatever we are passing it through this. Okay, now the next thing is what we will write a condition for this. So we will what say that 1 is not a prime number, right? But less than 1 is also not a prime number, right? So what we will write here, if our number is less than or is equal to 1, then we will print here what? Console.log, whatever the number we are passing is not a prime number. Okay, now the next thing what we will do here is this one, a number which is divisible by 1 in itself, right, is a prime number. So we will reverse this. When we are putting here in the particular function, what we will do, we will write a condition for a number which is divisible. Okay, so we will take a loop. The loop will start from I is equal to 2. Okay, and after that what we will do, we will end up to a number less than 1. Okay, because the 1 and the particular number has to be divisible, right? So that is why we will start from 2 and a number less than. That is why I less than that number. Okay, and then we will run the loop. And we will come here, and in this we have to put one condition, that if that number is completely divisible by I, then it is not a prime number, right? So what we will do, if this number is completely divisible, that means modulus of I is equal to 0, then we will just print the same console.log, that number is not a prime number. Okay, and also we will terminate the loop by writing return as false. So we will write here return, and we will write here return false. This will terminate this particular if condition and the for loop. And if this is not getting satisfied, then what we are going to print, console.log number is a prime number. We will write it like this. Okay, now let us run it and test the particular thing once again. Now what happens here is, if I write 7, I am getting is a prime number. That means obviously this condition is failing because it is not less than 1 or 1. So it will come here. Now what it will do, the loop starts from 2. So number divisible by I. So that means 7 divisible by I, it is going to check. 7 modulus of I is equal to 0, it will check. And it finds out that it is not completely divisible. So it will terminate here, and this is going to get printed over here. Now suppose if you type here, if you once again invoke a function with a 10. So what it will happen now? Once again run it. This is accepting, that is why we are getting 10, and again we are getting that. Here we are getting 10 is not a prime number. Why we are getting it is not a prime number? Because if you come here, it is completely divisible, right, by 2. Then it mentions here it is not a prime number, and it terminates the loop and it brings the same thing over here as well. Okay, now what if you put is prime number and you pass a 2 over here? So in this case, what will happen now? In this, it will check here, it will I is equal to 2, it will come, and I less than a number, it will check. So it is 2 here itself. When we are running this here itself, the condition fails and it cannot do it, so it won't be passing over here and the loop will terminate. And that is where you get here as well 2 is a prime number. Now just for this part, what we will do, we will just comment this console and we will just we will put this P in capital, just the initial, so that we have is a prime number or not a prime number. This as well, let us make it here. Okay, and now let us save it and let us rerun this particular all this 3, and you get 7 is a prime, 10 is not a prime, 2 is a prime number. Okay, I hope you got this, right? Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is print the numbers from 1 to 100, but on the basis of certain conditions, correct? So now what we'll do, let's move to our VS Code and let's start solving this. So this is the question which was there in the PowerPoint. So we will read out and let's break this question one after the another and let's solve it. So if you see here, we have to write a JavaScript function. So we will take a function, and this function is asking to print something related to fizz and buzz. So we will create a function here, FizzBuzz itself. Okay. And whenever we create a function, it is necessary to invoke it as well. So let us invoke this function. So we have invoked it successfully. Okay. So the first part of it we have done. Now, what is this question saying? We have to print from 1 to 100. So if we have to print from 1 to 100, it is very easy, right? What we have to take? We have to take a for loop, correct? So inside this function, let us take a for loop. So we'll take a for loop over here, and the for loop is going to start from what? 1, and where it will end? 100. So what we will do? We will write here, let I is equal to 1, and it will end at 100, right? And then we will increment this so that it will keep on incrementing. And in this, we are just going to print right now console.log of I. Okay. Now what we will do, let us test this function invocation and this loop is perfectly running fine or not. So in the right side, you see there is a terminal open. And what we will do here is we will type node and our file name. So node our file name, and if you see, we are able to execute this and we are getting 1 to 100 now. That means this function and this loop is successfully executed and it is running the way we want it. Now let us go to the next part of the question which they have said. They have said if it is multiple of 3, that means print fizz. That means a number is completely divisible. Right now, what is our number? Our number is nothing but the I, correct? So we have to write here I completely divisible, right? So modulus of 3 is equal to 0. This would be our condition, and if that is the case, then you have to print what? Fizz, right? Let us come here, and if it is completely divisible by 5, because it's a multiple of 5, that means it will be completely divisible by 5. Then we will what do? Then we will print our buzz, correct? That is what we are supposed to do. Now in the next part, what we have it over here now, they said if this number, whatever the number is, the number is multiple of both 3 and 5. That means I modulus of 3 also, correct? And I modulus of 5 also. If both of them we are getting it, if we have to print FizzBuzz, but what we have to use? Both, right? So we have to use a AND operator in between them. And if this condition is satisfied, it will be printing here FizzBuzz, right? So we will be printing this out. This is our question. Now in this is a tricky question, guys. What part is tricky, that if anyone comes up, what they will think, let's start from top to bottom. If you see, suppose you take a number 3. Okay, if you take a number 3, then it is okay. For a 3, it will not have, it will just print fizz. For a number 5, because it is a multiple, right? So it will print buzz. But for a number, if it is 15, and if you're starting from top to bottom, so this is a multiple of 3 also, and it is a multiple of 5 also. So in this case, what will happen? It will encounter that it is a multiple of 3, and it will print the fizz here. Whereas our condition is little different. If it is a multiple of both, then it should not print this fizz. What it should print? It should print FizzBuzz, right? So that is where we are going to start this bottom to top instead of starting from top to bottom. So let us see this. So for a time being, I will just comment this console.log and we will execute our code here. We'll start writing our code here. Now, what is the thing? What you are going to take? We have written down the conditions, right? So what will help us to write the particular this conditions? What we have to take? We will have to take here if, correct? If condition we are going to take, but along with the if condition, since there are 2-3 conditions, we will be taking if, else if, and the last one will be our else part. Got it? So here, first condition, we are going to put this one. In the second part, we are going to put either of them. And the third part, if we are putting here in else if modulus of 3, then we will put here modulus of 5. And if none of the condition will match, it will go to the else part and it will be executed. So let's see here. So now what we will do, if, correct, and we will write here what? I modulus of 3 is equal to 0 and operator, and what we will have here, I modulus of 5 is equal to 0. Then we will print what? Console.log of, we have to print FizzBuzz. So let us take it from here and I'll put it here and we will print this. Then as I said, next condition can be either of them. So we will write here else if part, and then what we will write? I modulus of 3 or 5, whatever you can take it. Since we are going in an order from bottom to top, let us take I modulus of 5 is equal to 0, and we will print here what? Buzz. So console.log, and we are going to write here buzz. Okay. Now what is the next part? Again, one more else if we will take, and what is left out now? I modulus of 3 is equal to 0, and then we have to print here what? Console.log, and we will print here what? Fizz, right? And if none of the conditions are matching, then you are going to print here else. And what is the printing comes here? Just the number we have to print. So we will print our I. Okay. Now let us execute and see whether it is working fine or not. So we will save this particular code and we will come here in the last. Let us clear the screen and once again run this. So node and our file name, that is 03. And if you see here, we are getting FizzBuzz everywhere, right? FizzBuzz and FizzBuzz together. Let us see this, what we are able to get it. See, the way I told you, for a 3, we should get fizz. For a 5, we are getting buzz because this is a multiple of 3. This is multiple of 5, right? But if we come here for a 15, it is a multiple of both 3 and 5. So we are getting FizzBuzz, correct? Because it is first checking this condition and then it is going to the other conditions. If you don't start from bottom to top, it will test your modulus of 3, modulus of 5, and then it's tricky where they mention the question like this, but you have to start writing the question from bottom to top. Okay, so this is what we have get it over here. And if I have to recap it here once again, what we have done, we have found out first the modulus of 3 and 5 together, that is multiples of 3 and 5 both. It is printing our FizzBuzz here, and then we have the rest of the conditions printing as per the desired thing, fizz and buzz. Okay, so this is what is there, and if you run it, you get this particular code executed here successfully. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is to find out a sum of all the even numbers from 1 to a specified limit. Okay, so let's move to a VS Code and let's start solving this question. So if you see, this question is already mentioned over here. So let's break down this particular question first. As we follow this the same, right? We break down the question every time. So let's break down the question. So what we'll do is write a JavaScript function. So what we'll do, take this JavaScript function and write it over here. Now what is the next thing? Calculate the sum of all the even numbers from 1 to a specified limit. So let us take this out and paste it here as well. So we'll put it here. Now let us understand it. JavaScript function, it is related to some even numbers, right? Sum. So let us create a function related to this itself. So I'll write here sum even numbers. Okay. Let us create a function like this, and sum of all the even numbers from 1 to a specified limit. Now if you see here, from 1 to a limit, that means to a specific number which we are going to provide. So 1 to a number, right? So that means it is going to start from 1 to that number. So that means what we will have to take here, again we will have to take a for loop, correct? And what is here, then we have to take a for loop, and then we have to check whether it is an even number or not, right? If you see in the previous videos, I have explained what is an even number and how can you calculate the even number. So do watch out that video as well. Here as well, once again I'll explain. So what is an even number? Any number which is completely divisible by 2 is an even number. So what operator you will use? You will use a modulus operator, right? And if we are using a for loop, our number will be what? Our number will be I. So I modulus of 2 is equal to 0, and where we have to put this condition, we are going to put it inside a if condition, right? So we will have a function, then a for loop, and inside a for loop this if condition, which will be testing this particular condition over here. Okay, so let's start solving over here. So we will write a function and a function name. What is a function name? We have decided some even number. So let us give it over here and let us call this function. So whenever we create a function, it is necessary to invoke a function. So I will just invoke a function over here, and we want to find to a specified limit, right? So that limit, let us pass it from here. So what I will do, suppose I pass here as a 6. So now when we are passing here as an argument, let us receive it as a parameter over here. Now you can write a limit or you can write a number, whatever name you want to give it over here, you can give. Since we are following again and again number in the previous video, so let us stick to the number itself. And now let us just write here console.log number, and we will just test this whether we are able to access this number which we are passing it from here or not. So let us come here. How we will run this particular file? We will write a node and our file name. So node and 05, right, is our file name. 05 challenge question. So let us run it. Yes, I am able to get it over here. So that means 6, I am able to get it. Now let us comment this out. And now what is the next thing we are going to do? We are going to run a loop, correct? So from 1 to that number. So that number is nothing but this. So what we will do, we will take a for loop and we will write let I is equal to 1. We will start from 1 because it is saying from 1 to a specified limit, right? So from 1, and then we will end up where? To that number. So less than or is equal to number, and we will keep incrementing this, correct? And now what we will do, let us just print our I and check whether our loop is running properly or not. So come in the terminal and run our file. If you see here, okay, it's console.log, So we have to just change this to console, and we'll come here and we will clear the terminal. And if you see here, we get 1 to 6 over here. So we are able to successfully able to run this particular thing. Now what we will do here, the next thing what we will do, we have to check, right? So we will have to write a if condition over here. So we will write here if, and then what we will do inside if, we will check our number, which is nothing but the I. Modulus of 2 is equal to 0, and if this is there, give me just the I will just write right now, give me the I. So I'm writing it over here. Now if you just, and we will comment this console.log of I, which we have written here, right? Now what we will do, we will just print this. We are able to get the even numbers. That means we are successfully able to execute, and we are able to find out the even numbers. But our question is, find out the sum, right? We have to get the sum. So what we will do, we will come here and we will take one variable. So we will take one variable. So let us assume we want to store all the sum, whatever it has been calculated, and we will store it into a variable called as a sum, and we will initialize with 0. Okay, and what we will do here, then we will come here and we will write sum is equal to sum plus of I. So whenever the loop runs, what will happen in this sum, again and again, it will get, whenever this loop is going to run, it will test it, it will add up, and it will update the sum value, which we are going to get it over here, right? And then what we will do, we will console our sum outside the loop, so that we get our final value, which is being stored inside our sum. So I will come here and I will write what, console.log of sum over here. And if you see, now let us just test it in our terminal. If you see here, I get 246 because I have consoled this as well, and we are getting the sum as well, because 2 plus 4 is 6 and 6 plus 6 is 12. So we are able to get the addition of all the even numbers, right? Now I'll comment this out, and once again I will run in the terminal. You will see I will get this 12 over here. Now in this, one more improvisation we can do it over here. What we will do, let us comment this, and what we will do, we will come here and we will write sum plus is equal to of I. What we will write, sum plus is equal to of I. That means what? This means the same thing which we have written here. Sum plus is equal to of I means what? Sum is equal to sum plus I. This means the same thing. If you run it once again, and if you write it here, you will see the 12 coming up here once again. So that means this both means the same. You write this or you write this, it is the same. So what we will do, we will write, this is the most preferable one. This is the most preferable one. So we will keep this, okay? So we will keep this sum plus is equal to I itself. And when you invoke this, you are going to get this. Now suppose let us clear our terminal once again, and let us write here sum of even numbers, and let us pass 45. Okay, and now let us come here and let us once again run this file. So I will get 12 and 506. That means we are able to easily calculate our sum of even numbers. Now one last thing we will do it, let us improvise this console.log statement as well. So what they have written here, we will use a template literals, and we will just write here sum of all the even numbers from 1 to a specified, right? So to a specified limit, right? What is the limit? Our limit is nothing but our number. We are storing inside a number. So we will pass this number, and we will write here is, and if you see here, and if you save it, and if you run once again in our terminal like this, we can see easily that we are able to get it over here. Let us run it. Node and our file name, which is 05. And if you see this, I can easily, you can see here easily it is getting printed in one line. That is sum of all the even numbers from 1 to a specified number 6 is 2. And here sum of all the even numbers from 1 to a specified 45 is 506. If you want to make it, you can write here specified number, that is okay, or you can remove this. So we can write here specified number is, and once again if you test it, you will get the properly over here as well. So let us run it once again. you see specified 6 number is 12, right? So sum of, if you don't want to give this number, if you don't want to give this specified, you can remove that as well. So from 1 to a number, that also looks better. Okay, so we can keep this here and we can come here, and once again let us come in the terminal and let us run our file here, node, and this, if you get sum of all the even numbers from 1 to 6 is 12, sum of all the even numbers from 1 to 45 is 506. So whatever we write it, we can easily get it in our console, right? So this is what is there here, how to write it, and how here it is there. I've explained you. Once again, let us have a recap over here. So what we have done, write a JavaScript function that calculates sum of all the even numbers. For that, we have taken a function name related to our question itself. And then we have taken a loop which is going to run from 1 to a specified limit, correct? And then what we have done, for checking a even number, we have taken a if condition with a modulus operator, which will test whether that number is completely divisible by 2 or not. After that, it will, what we will do, whatever the numbers we are getting it over here, we are going to create one variable known as a sum, and in that we will start adding it up and storing the addition of all the numbers over here which we are getting from this particular point, right? And then what we will do, and after the loop terminates, we want to print it over here. So we have just printed over here, and we have used the template literals, and we are printing it nicely over here by mentioning that sum of all the even numbers from 1 to that number is whatever the output we get it, we have stored it in a sum. So we have written here sum, correct? Now what we do it in the end, what we have done, we have invoked that function, and whatever the number we want to do it, we are passing it from here. So we can pass it one more number, sum of even numbers, and if I pass 10, and you will get here that as well. So let us run one more time and test it with this. You see here I get 30, right? So from 1 to 10, the addition of all the even numbers is what? 30, correct? So that's it. What we have solved this particular question successfully. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is write a JavaScript function that calculates the sum of odd numbers in a given range. Okay, so let's move to our VS Code and let's start coding. So if we see here, we have here the question is mentioned, write a JavaScript function that calculates the sum of odd numbers in a given range. So now what we shall do it over here, let us break down this particular question. So if we see here, we have to write a JavaScript function. So let us write it down here. And then we have to calculate the sum of all odd numbers in a given range. So here it is not from 1 to any specified or anything. Whatever the range will be given, from that range we will have to calculate, and we will have to find out the odd numbers, and then we will have to sum up, and then we will have to print the output. So if you see the right side, the terminal is already open, so we will execute our code over here. Okay, now let us understand this. First of all, since we have to get the sum of odd numbers, so what we will do here is, let us create a function that is sum odd numbers like this. Let us create it like this. Okay, so the function name will be sum odd numbers. Okay, now, and we can write here sum odd numbers range, because it is going to be, let us add range as well, because it will be in a given range. So sum odd numbers range, let us keep this function name like this. And now let us come here. Okay, now sum of all numbers in a given range means we will be given with what? The starting range and the ending range. So there will be some start point and there will be some end point as well. So because there is a range, right? So we will have to start from somewhere and we will have to end it somewhere. Let us assume if our start is 5, suppose, or 6, whatever we can take it. Let us assume our start is 5 and the end is at 20. So we will have to find out the odd numbers from this particular range, and then we will have to go where? Then we will have to put that condition for checking the odd numbers. So what we will be doing it over here is, so we will have to take a loop again over here. Okay, so we will be taking a for loop, and our I will start from our start point, and it will end where? It will end because within a specified limit, right? So it is going to end where? It will end at a end point. Okay, and then as usual we will have to increment it. Okay, so then after the loop is completed, what we will have to do inside the loop? Now in the loop we will see and we will check that out how it is getting up printed in the terminal, in the console as well. Once we have written down the loop, what we are going to do now here, inside this loop we have to test the condition, right? Now how, what will be the condition will be coming here? That if our number, okay, what is the number right now? Number will be what? I, correct? So our I modulus of, it should not be completely divisible by 2, right? So modulus of 2 not is equal to 0, correct? So if it is not is equal to 0, that means it is not completely divisible by 2, then it's an odd number. This again I have explained in the previous videos, so please go and watch my previous videos as well. In that you will get a in detail description about odd and even numbers. Okay, so if you see here what we have to do, if we want to find out the odd numbers, okay, if we want to find out the odd numbers, what we will have to do? I modulus of 2 which is not is equal to 0, that will be our odd number. Okay, so first we have to find, we have to take a loop which will be running within that range, and inside that we are going to test this condition. Okay, so now let's move ahead. And now what we will do, we will create a function. Okay, and function name we are going to keep this itself, so we will write the function name this one. And as soon as you write the function, it is very necessary to invoke a function. So we will invoke this some odd number range. Okay, and we have to mention our start point and end point. So let us assume that the start point and end point, we will be sending it from this function as an argument. So suppose our start point, we can declare a variable here itself, or we can directly pass it here itself. Fully done this, and now if you want to just test our function is running perfectly or not, what we will do, we will write here start and we will write here end. And now if you come here, let us run our file. Okay, so we will write here node and we will write our file name, that is 06. And if you see here, I get 5 and 20, correct? So we are able to get here 5 and 20. Okay, now what is the next thing? Now let us comment it over here. Since we have to find out the odd numbers within a specified range, that is between 5 and 20, what we will do here now? We will take our for loop, right? So for loop, let I is equal to the start point. It will not start with 0, not start with 1. What is the specified range here? This is the start point, right? 5. So I will write here I is equal to start, and then it is going to end where? It is going to end at the end point, that is 20. So I will mention here I is less than or is equal to end, and we have to increment this, right? And now let us come here and just console our I. Let us see what we get. So we should get it from 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. Okay, so now let us come here and just run it once again in our terminal. So we'll come here and we'll write here node 06, and if you see, we are getting from 5 to 20. So we have successfully executed our for loop correctly. Okay, that means within a specified range, now we are able to run this particular loop. Now what we will do, we are going to test this particular condition inside this, correct? So we will comment this out now, and we will come here and we will write what? If condition. And what we are going to do, I modulus of 2 not is equal to 0, you will write here. And then what we will write here, we just let us write console.log of I. Okay, what we will write here, we will just make it console.log of I. And now let us just test once again. So we will come here node 06, and if you all see here, we get the odd numbers here, right? 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17 and 19. This is between 5 and 20. Okay, this is between 5 and 20. We are able to get the odd numbers. Now what we have to do now, what is the next thing? It is just not displaying the odd numbers, but we have to calculate the sum, right? We have to calculate the sum. So what we will do, we will come here and we will take one variable. So let us assume that variable as sum, and sum is equal to 0. It will be initialized with 0 because whenever you add up to this, it will be adding up with the 0, so it will not change our number. Okay, then what we will do now, let us comment here, and what we are going to do, we will do here sum is equal to sum plus I. So we will add up, and what we will do, whatever the value comes up, it will store it inside the sum itself. So the how it will be 0 plus 5, correct? Then after that 5 plus 7, in the next iteration it will come and it will give here in this if condition, what it will be, 5 plus 7, like this it will go and store the final value inside the sum. And once the loop terminates, I want this sum value, right? So I will print here console.log sum outside here. Okay, now once again let us clear the terminal, and once again let us write our node and 06, and if you see here I get 96. That is addition is what? Addition is what? 96. So we are able to get it properly here. Now this can be written in another way as well. So let us see that as well. So what we will do here, we will what do sum, and what we have to write, plus is equal to I. Okay, this is similar to sum is equal to sum plus I. This is similar to what? Sum is equal to sum plus I. When you write sum plus is equal to I, it is nothing but you are adding this to a sum variable itself. Okay, so now if you save it once again and if you run it again, you will see you get 96 again over here. Got it? So that is what we are able to get it. Now let us once again invoke a function and let us change the range and see. So suppose we take a range from 8 to 15, if suppose we take, and let us come here and let us run it once again and test it. We are able to get 48. So that means it is successfully running this particular thing, right? Now what we will do, let us just improvise this one console.log statement. So what I will do, I will put this in a template syntax. Okay, template literals I will put it, and I'll write here the sum of all the odd numbers. Okay, we have here, right, the sum of all numbers in a given range. So let us take it. We can write it like this. And if you see here, we have written in a given range. Now, what is that range? So what I will write it, sum of all the numbers between, okay, I'll write between, and I'll write here what? Start, and I'll write here and end. Okay. So if you all see here, and now let us test it. What do we get it in the console? Let us see here, and we can put here colon as well. Okay, now let us see how do we get it in the console. So I'll write here node 06 challenge, and if you see I am able to get, if you see sum of all the sum of all the odd numbers between 5 and 20 is 96, and sum of all odd numbers between 8 and 15 is 48, correct? So we have successfully executed this, and we have successfully able to get all the sum of odd numbers within a given range. Okay, so you can define any range and you can execute this function. You will get a proper output over here. Okay, so if I have to wrap up this, what we have done here, we have created a function with this particular name because this name was being suggested from here itself, sum of all the odd numbers in a range. That is why we have taken this particular function name. And since they are saying a range, so we have specified the start and end point, correct? And then what we are doing it, we have initialized a variable with a 0. Okay, so that whenever we add up, it will store up in this. And then we have run a for loop. The for loop starts from the start point and ends at the end point. We are incrementing it up, and then we are testing that whether it is an odd number or not. If it is an odd number, we will just add up to this particular sum variable, correct? And then once the loop is terminated, we will print our sum over here. So we get here what? Sum of all the odd numbers between our start and the end, and we are printing our sum. And here we are just invoking the function of this with passing a specified range, that is the start point and the end point. Okay, got it? Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is write a JavaScript function that takes a number and prints its multiplication table from 1 to 10 or 1 to 12, right? So we have to solve this particular challenge today. So let's move to our VS Code and let's begin with this question. Now, if you see here, this question is already mentioned here, right? So now let's break down this question. Okay, so what it is written? Write a JavaScript function. So we will take this and we will put it over here, correct? And now what is the next thing they have said? Take a number and print its multiplication table. So we have to take any number and we can print its multiplication table, correct? Now, what is the next thing they have said? From 1 to 10 or 1 to 12, right? So come here, and now since this particular function is related to generation of a multiplication table, so let us write here a function name as a generate table itself. Okay, so let us come here and we will write here generate table. Okay, now what we will do it here now, let's go to the next line. What is written? Number, take a number and prints its multiplication table, correct? Now what is a table? What is a multiplication table? Let us assume 2 we are taking. Okay, then how we are going to write the table of this particular number? It will be 2 times of 1 is 2, then 2 times of 2 is 4, and then so on, and it can go till 10 because they have said 1 to 10, right? So what we will do? 2 times 10 is equal to 20, and either it can be what? 2 times 12, right, is equal to 2 times 12 is equal to 24, correct? So this is what we have here, correct? Now what is the next thing? So this is what is a table. Now in this, what do we see here? We see here 2 is stagnant everywhere, right? 2 is not changing anywhere. That is what is a number, correct? The number 2 for which we are going to create or generate a table. Now what is changing then? It is changing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, right? And it is still going till 10. So it is again a range, correct? So for that purpose, we are going to take again a for loop, right? And in this for loop, what we will write? Where it will start and where it will end this for loop? It will start at what? I will start at 1 for sure, correct? Then where it will end? It will end to this particular range, right? Either it will be at less than or is equal to 10, or either it will be what? I is less than or is equal to 12, correct? It will start and end at this point. Now let's write the function here. So function generate table, and since we have written this function, let us invoke it. Okay, and now for whatever the number we are going to generate a table, let us pass it from here. Since we have assumed 2, let us assume it 2 over here. Okay, so I'm passing over here as an argument. Let us receive it over here. So I will write here what? Number, correct? And then let us write here console.log number, and let us just test it whether this function is working fine for us or not. So let us come here, and what we will do, we will write here node, and we will write our file name, that is day 7. And if you see, I get here 2. That means this function is successfully executed, correct? Now after this, what we will do here is, now we have to take a for loop, right? So inside this, we will take a for loop. So for a time being, let us comment out this, and what we will write here, we will take a for loop, and we will write here let I is equal to 1, correct? It will start at 1, and then I is less than or is equal to 10. So it will end at 10, right? And then we will increment this by 1 again and again. So that is why I plus plus. Now I will just write here console.log I, and let us test our for loop is also working fine or not. So let us come here and let us write here node, and we will write 07. And if you see, I am able to get from 1 to 10. That means my loop is also working fine. Okay, now what is the next thing we will do? Now if you see, I get 1 to 10. Now what is this? In this line number 7, which we have written the table, what is there? The number is repeated, right? Which number? The 2 number is getting again and again repeated everywhere. So what we will do here is we will write here number, and then we will write here times of I, correct? And now let us test it once again. If you see here, you get here able to execute it, right? Now suppose one more time you invoke this function and pass another number. Let us see, because it takes a number and it will print that number multiplication table, right? So that means here if I pass here generate table of 5, and if I see here, then what we will get here, let us see. I get 2 times table as well, and we are getting 5 time table also, right? So we are able to execute this very correctly, right? Now what we will do, let us improvise this line as well, okay? So what we will do here, how we will improvise it now, what we will have to write it here now, let us take a template literals, okay? And in this, let us write here what we have to find out. Like this we will try to mention it over here, okay? So then what is this? This is dollar, flower braces and number, and then I will put here what? Space, and then cross I will put, that is our X, okay? This I will put it. Now then what I will write here? I, correct? And then what we will come here, we'll put is equal to, and just let us run it and see what do we get it, okay? So we have written number times of I, and then number in multiplied by I, correct? Now let us just clear the console, okay? And let us run it one more time, okay? And I will comment this out for a time being, and we will uncomment this later on, okay? Now if you see here, what do we get? We get it successfully, this particular same, right? 2 times 1, 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and then so on, we are getting it till 20, okay? Now if you see here, if we wanted this 12, then what we would have to do, we will have to change this loop, right? We will have to change the end point here. So what we will put, I will just put here 12, and if you run this particular code now once again, you will get till 12. So that means at any point of time, if you change the endpoint, you will get the table till that particular number, correct? Now what we can do it, I will just comment this out, okay? I'll just take here and I will just comment this out. For example, if you want to run this 12, use this particular line, or if you want to run this till 10, you can use this particular line. Whatever is convenient for you, you can use it, okay? And let us run it once again. Now you see I got this till 10, okay? Now one more improvisation, let us do it. If I just uncomment this out, okay, what do I get? Let us see here, okay? Let me just once again clear the terminal, and if you see here, if I run this particular code again, you get here 2, right? And then the 2 times table, correct? So what I can do here is, here also I will add a template literals, and I will write here table of, that's it. I will write here what? Table of, okay? And then whatever the number is, we are already getting it, right? Then let us come here and let us rerun it here. You see table of 2, and we have here table of 2, right? And now if you invoke this function with this 5 again, and let me clear the terminal, now you will get a separation here itself again. Now what do you get? Table of 2, which is still here, and then you get a table of 5. So which is still here running. So if you want to run till 12, you can use this. If you want to end this loop at 10, you can use this. So anyone is fine, okay? Now if I have to just do a recap of this, what we will say here is that we have written a function that is a generate table, which is taking a number. It can take any number and it will generate the multiplication table of that number, correct? So then what we have taken inside this, just for printing that number, what is the table, we have used this and we are writing it over here. Then what we have taken a for loop which is ending till 10, and we are going to print it in a manner the way we write a table, correct? I have just commented it out, line number 14. You can uncomment any one of the line and run it. If you want to run it till 10, you use this. If you want to run it till 12, you use this, okay? And then what we have written here, we have invoked this function, right? Generate table, and this is able to pass this number here, and then this function is getting executed, right? And the console.log is printed here, that is 5 times of, if the number is 5, then 5 times of 1 is equal to 5 times into 1, correct? So this is what we are getting it, correct? So this is what we are able to get it here. So 5 times of 1, 5 times of 2, and so on. 2 times of 1, 2 times till 10. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is to check whether a given number is an Armstrong number or not. So we will have to write a function to check that out. Okay, so let's proceed with this question. So we will move to our VS Code, and if you see, this question is already mentioned here. So let's break down this question. So if we see here, what is it? We have to write a JavaScript function. So let us take this down here. And then what is the next thing? That we have to check a number is an Armstrong number or not. So let us take this here as well. Now, since this is related to an Armstrong number to check, so what we will do, we will create a function is Armstrong. Okay, so let us write here is, and we will create a function with this name. And in the next line, what it is written, a number is an Armstrong number. So first of all, we will have to understand what is an Armstrong number. So let us assume one number, take a number as a 153. So I take this number as 153 or 153. So what is there? Let us break down, okay, this part as well. So what we will see, each digit, okay, in this each digit raised to the power of total number of digits we have, okay, raised to the power of what? Total number of digits. So then what is here? Each digit, if you see, 1, right? Then what is the next thing? 5. Then what is the next thing? You have 3. So this is your each digit, and we have to do what? Each digit raised to the power of total number of digit, right? So then what we will do? We will have to come here, and we will come here, and we will write here raised to 3, 5 raised to 3, then 3 raised to 3 everywhere, correct? And then what is now, whatever the result we get, what is the result we are going to get here? We are going to get here 1. What is the result here? We will get 125. What is the result you get here? 27. So then we will have to sum up all the result. Okay, so we will have to sum up all the result. So once you sum up all the results, then you will get one value, right? That value should be is equal to your original number. So I'll just write it here. It should be is equal to your original number. Then that number is termed as what? Armstrong number. Okay, so let us test this as well in our terminal as well. So I will just write here what? 1. Then we will write here 125. Then you have here 27. So you get here what? 153. So you see here, after doing this, we get what? 153. So your 153, whatever the resultant value you have, that is equal to your original number. That is why it is termed as a Armstrong number. Okay, now let us write it down here inside the function, everything, and let us see, okay, how we will have to proceed with this. So we will have to create a function, and we said that we will be writing this function name. So let us come here and write it here, and let us invoke this function here, okay, is Armstrong number, and we will provide the number from here as well in a form of an argument. So I will write here 153 itself as of now. Later on we will check with another arguments as well. Okay, so we are passing it here as an argument. We'll receive it here, so let us receive it as a number. Okay, now what we do, let us test it like we do always. So I will come here and I will write here console.log number. And then if you want run this particular file node, and our 10-day challenge it is. So if you see, we get 153, right? So that means we are able to successfully execute this function. Okay, now what is the next thing we are going to do it now? Here we see that we have to find out the total number of digits, right? So if we want to find out the total number of digits, then what we will have to do it here, we will have to convert it into a string. And how we can convert into a string? We have a toString method, right? So using that toString method, we are going to convert it into a string. After converting into a string, we are going to use the dot length on that, and we will be using this property over here, and we will be finding out the length of that particular number as well. You can say now that number will be converted into a string, so that string length we are going to find out. Okay, so let us come here, and what we will do here as we will write here let, and we will declare here num str is equal to number dot to string. So we are going to convert it here, and we have successfully converted. Now let us take one more variable num digits, and what we will do it here, let us find out the length of this num str. So I'll take this num str, and we will write here dot length, right? So we will use this and just console it and see whether we get this number of digits or not. So I will write here, and let us run this particular file once again. I get 3. That means it is successfully running. Now, if you observe this, if you see what is this, we have to take a loop here again. Why? Because you can see how many number of digits are there. It is running till that point, right? So 1, 2, and 3 we have. So it will run it till that point, correct? So what we will do, we will start our for loop. Okay, let us write here now for loop, and we will start here with a for loop, and we will write here let I is equal to 0, and we will end it at less than 1, right? That number, because since we are starting it with 0. So what we will do, we will write here, and what we will write, we will have to run 3 times, correct? So I will write here num of digits, okay, and then I will increment by 1, and then I will do console.log of I. Now if you come here and if you run it once again, you get 0, 1, and 2. That means it is running successfully 3 times. Now I will tell you why we have not started with 1 and ended at number of digits. I'll tell you that as well. Because now if you see here, and if you write here num of str, okay, I'll just write here num of str, and in this if I pass this I, okay, now when you see here, then what we get, we need to get the each digit, right? 1, 5, and 3. If you start from 1, then it will skip the first one, correct? That is why you are not going to start this for loop with 1. You are going to start with a 0 and end it at -1. That means number of digits -1, because it is starting from 0. Okay, so that means you can see here 0, 1, and 2. Okay, that means we are successfully able to get it. Now since we have to perform this particular operation on it, what we will do, for a safer side, we will convert this into an integer, because first we converted into a string, right? So we will convert this each digit into a integer. So what we will do here now, so let us take here let digit, because this is our each digit, right? And we will use our parseInt. What does parseInt do? It converts into an integer, right? That is what is a parseInt. So in this I will pass my what? Num of str of I. Okay, I will pass it here, and now this digit we get a num in a form of a number, right? So once again, if you console your digit, you will get it like this. Okay, so let us console it now. Once again, let me clear the terminal, and we will console it here one more time, and we will see in the terminal that I get 1, 5, and 3. Now you are getting all this one because we have this inside a loop. Let us comment this out, and let us comment this as well, and let us comment this also. Okay, now if we run it once again, we are able to see our each digit, right? Now we have to do what? We have to do 1 raised to 3, 5 raised to 3, 3 raised to 3. With this example I am taking. Okay, otherwise if you take any other number, that digit raised to the power of total number of digits we have to take, right? Now what we will have to do here is, now you come here, how we can do this now? We have a math methods, right? So we are going to use the math methods in this. Which method we will use it over here in math method? We are going to use math dot power method. Okay, this is the method we are going to use. Okay, now what this method returns? This method returns the value of a base raised to a power. Okay, so how to write this? Suppose what we will do, let us just put in the console and we will see. Okay, so I'll write here console.log, and I will put this math.power inside this, and inside this we have to pass two things. Inside we are going to pass. Okay, so we will pass our digit and the number of digit. Okay, so it takes two values or arguments, you can say. Okay, so we have to pass our digit and we have to pass our number of digit, because raised to that, right? So each digit raised to the power of that total number of digits, correct? That is why we are going to do it like this. Now let us run it once again. And if you see here, you get 1, here you get 125, here you get 27. If you comment out this, you can see this nicely once again. 1 and 125 and then 27, correct? So this is what we are able to get it. Now what we have to do it, we will, since now we are able to get this, now what we will have to do, this all we have done, right? Now we have to do the sum of all the result, correct? So since we have to find out a sum, we will declare one more variable here called as a sum, and let us assign it as a 0. Okay, now what we will do here is, now our sum has to be assigned, it has to be updated by the addition. So what we are going to do here, plus is equal to, and then what we will do it, this particular thing is there, right? We will just pass it over here. So whatever is the value, please add up and put it over here. Okay, now you just console your sum outside the loop, because we want the final value, right? So we will come here and what we will do, console.log, and I will write here sum. Okay, now let us just comment the other things. Okay, so I'll just comment out the other things and just come here and let us see what we get. So if you see here, I get 153 here. Let me just clear the terminal again and I'll show you one more time. So I get 153 here. So that means this is able to successfully do it over here, correct? Now, if you see, this is similar, that sum is equal to sum plus math.power. If you want to do that way also, you can do that way, but this is the most preferred one. I have told you earlier also, this is the most preferred one. But in this case, you can do it here like this as well. Sum is equal to sum plus, and take this math.power and put it here. It will give you the same value. Okay, so come here and just run it once more time. You get 153, but I will just comment out this one and we will keep it this, because this is the most preferred one. Okay, so we are able to successfully get our sum. Okay, now what is the next thing we will do? And always remember, when you want the final value, final updated value, always print outside the loop. Okay, and now what we will do it here. Now next thing is what we will have to check, correct? So what we will do, how can we check? We will use our if condition. Now we have to check that whether that number is an Armstrong number or not, like, so we will have to check that. Okay, we have written the logic for finding for a Armstrong number. Now let us just test it out. So we will come here and we will just comment it here, and I will what do here is, I will just comment it out and we will write it here. Okay, and then what we are going to do, we are going to use a if condition. Okay, so let us use a if condition, and here if, and I will write here sum is equal to that number, then what it is, then what it will be, that number is an Armstrong number. So console.log, and in this let us use a template literal syntax. So dollar, and then that number which we are taking it from here, so that number I will use it and I will write it here, what is an Armstrong number. Okay, and then what we will do it, in the else part what we will write, that it is not an Armstrong number. So let us come here and write down our else part also, and we will just take a copy of this and we will put it here and just update that it is not an Armstrong number. Okay, now we will take this out and let us just come here and let us just test it once again. If you come here, if you see here, you get here 153 is an Armstrong number, right? We are able to successfully get this part, correct? Now what we will do it here is, now what is the next thing we can do? We have already improvised our console. Now let us test it with one more number. Okay, so I know one more Armstrong number, that is 1634. So let us pass that. Okay, and let us see what do we get. Okay, so if you see here, this is also coming like it is an Armstrong number, right? This is also coming like an Armstrong number. So we are able to successfully get it over here, correct? So if you see, and now let us test one more time with a random number, which is not Armstrong number. So let us pass this and let us test it here. You get, see, it is not an Armstrong number. Why? Because the addition is not that. If you see the sum, it is not your original value, right? So let us just comment the sum also, because it is showing again and again this line. And now let us once again run the term in the terminal. Let us run this. So you get it over here. This is an Armstrong number and this is not an Armstrong number. So what we have done, if I have to do a recap, what we have done, we have first written a function is Armstrong, and in this we are checking that whether it is we are checking for an Armstrong number, how to get an Armstrong number, and then we are comparing it, right? So what we have done, we have declared this 3 variable. This will convert it to a string. This will find out the length, and we have initialized with a 0 to a sum so that it can hold our sum. Okay, now we have taken a loop and we are starting with 0, not with 1 specifically here, because we wanted to get the each digit. Okay, so that is why we have done num string of I, and that is why we are running a loop from 0 to I less than number of digits. Okay, then what we have done in the next thing, what we have done, if you see, we have used the math.power to find out the to find out 1 raised to 3, 5 raised to 3, that means digit raised to the power of total number of digits. So that we have done it here, and after that we are checking whether it is our original number is equal to our resultant value or not, correct? That is what we get it here, and that is why we are able to print it here in our console statement that it is an Armstrong or not an Armstrong, and same we can see it in our console. So we have invoked this function 3 times. Okay, let us clear the screen and let us run one more time and see. So we have invoked this, and at every time we are getting whether it is an Armstrong or not an Armstrong, right? So we have successfully done this particular question. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is to a palindrome. Okay, so let's move to a VS Code and let's start our today challenge. Okay, so if you see here, the question is already mentioned in the VS Code. Okay, so already this question is mentioned. Now let us break down this question. So if we see here, what it is written, write a JavaScript, right? And then what it is written, to find out it is a palindrome number or not. So let us take this JavaScript function and we will put it over here. Then we will take this part as well and we will put it here again. Now, since this question is related to a palindrome, we will write a function or create a function with a palindrome. Okay, so we will write is palindrome. Okay, and then let us make this P also capital. Now the next line, it is written number is a palindrome. So we will have to understand what is a palindrome number. So what I will do it, for easy understanding, I will write here few numbers. Okay, that is 1 to 1. Let us write 141. I will write 151. There is a similarity in all these numbers. Let us see what is the similarity. Now if you see here, from start to end, and if you read from end to start, like 1 to 1 and 1 to 1 from both the sides, even here 141, and if you start reading from end to start this number, it is again 141 itself. Similar to this as well, right? 151. So all these numbers are a palindrome number. Okay, so then if I have to tell you our original number will be is equal to our reverse number, that is the logic I will say here. So OG number is equal to REV number, correct? That is what it is there. Now how we will proceed with this question to solve in our this function, how we will make this happen. Okay, so now what we will do it, now since we have to reverse it, so JavaScript has a reverse method, but that reverse method is what is that reverse method? That is an array method, right? That is nothing but an array method. And what is it return? It returns an array, correct? So it returns an array. Now similarly, but if you see here, it returns an array, but this number is not an array, right? It is a number. So we will have to convert this into an array. So how can you convert into an array? What we will do, we will use a split method here. Now what does split method do? Split method is a string method, but that also you should remember. Okay, it is a string method and it returns an array. Now, how will it returns an array? Depending upon the argument you pass, right? Over here, whatever the argument you are going to pass, accordingly it is going to split up. Okay, now in this case we will split up without a space. So I will just pass here empty string or a empty quotes, you can say. So that means what will happen in this, it will become what, 1 and then 2 and then 1. That is what it will return an array in this case. So that is what we are going to do. Now if you see here, it is a string method, right? It's a string method. Now since it is a string method, it is a number. So then what we will have to do, we will have to convert it into a string. So what I will use, I will take a toString method here. With this, it is going to convert your number into a string. So this will convert what into string. I'll just put it over here, that as well. Now let's see how we will proceed with our function. Now how we will write it down now, all these things into this function. So what we will do now, we will take a function and we will write the function name. We have already decided that it will be is palindrome. So let us put it over here. Okay, and then we will make a call here. We will invoke it. And when we are invoking it, we will pass a number, but not a palindrome number. Let us pass another number so that we can see all the transitions which are happening, right? So I will pass here a random number. Okay, so I'm just passing a random number as an argument. So I will receive it here as a parameter. So I will pass here as a number. Now let us come here and do console.log number and let us test our function as well. So we will come here in our terminal and I will write what node and I will write here 11. Okay, because 11 is our today's challenge, right? So I'll just write it here, and if we see I got this number, that means this function is working fine, correct? Now after this, what we will do now, we are not going to go from top to bottom. We have to go from bottom to top. That is first line number 11 we will do, then 10 and then 9. Okay, so then let us work on this first. So what we will do, we will create one variable. Okay, so let num str we will create, and we will convert this number into a string. So number dot toString method will help us to do that. So I will just write it over here like this. Now what we will do, now what we will do here is we will create one more variable. Okay, so let reversed str I will write here, or we can write revstr. Okay, now what here we will do, we are going to now split inside this and we will check how the splitting is happening. So this number num str, because it needs a string, right? This needs a string, it's a string method, and then it will return an array. So this num str dot, what we will do, we will use a split. So I will write here split and I will do it what, without a space, that is empty quotes or an empty string I will pass it, and I will just console it and I will just check it, what do I get, revstr. And now let us test this in the terminal once again. So I will run this. Now what you get, 7890. So it has splitted the elements, and it, since it returns an array, it is returning an array also. So that is what we have done. Okay, now since you see this is the same number, right, 7890 in an array, correct? Now we will have to reverse it. So we have completed this 2 steps. Now let us complete this one also. So I will come here in line number 16 itself. I will use this reverse method also. So I will come here and what do I will write? I will write a reverse method. And then when I write it, and once again if I console it here, you will see the array has been reversed. Now can you see? Now you can compare this one and this one. Correct? It is starting from 7 and here it is starting from 0. That is just the reverse of this number we have got it. Correct? But now when you will compare this string, you are going to compare with this reverse string, right? But that is not going to match because this is a string and this is an array. Totally different. So then one more method in this we are going to use it. What is that method we will use? That is a join method. Correct? So we were going to use a join method. In the previous videos, I've explained about the join method as well. So do watch out that video as well. So just here I will say that join is what? It is an array method. It brings up the array elements together. Okay. So that is what it is going to do. So what we will do here is, now here again what I will do it, I will use a join method and with a parenthesis we will have to write it. It's a method. Okay, and now here again we will have to pass our empty quotes or an empty string, I will say. Okay, so we are going to pass it and we are going to join it here. Now once again we will save it and we will see the difference now. Now if you do, I got just the same here, right? But what I am getting, it has joined and we are getting like a number, correct? Now both of them are strings. 7890 is a string here, which we are going to use it now. And REVSTR also correct. Now what we will do now, this string and this string we are going to compare. If that is same, then it is a palindrome number, right? So what we will do here is we will come here and we will use again if else statement here. So what I am going to use inside this now, if else statement. So I will write here that numstr because it's a string, and the join, that is this method, what at the last it has returned me after joining. This is the number. So we will take here reverse string. If both are equals, if both are matching, then I will write here what, console.log, and what I will do here is I will use our template syntax and I will write here that this number is a palindrome number, correct? So I will write here number and I will just write here is an palindrome, correct? So I will write here it is an palindrome number, correct? Now next what we will do here is we have to take else part also, and we will come here and we will write a console.log statement here again, and we will just take the same line and we will put it here is not an palindrome number. Okay, now let us test it once again and I will just rerun it, and you will see it is not a palindrome number. Obviously it is not, because when you read it from start to end and end to start, it is not the same, right? So what we will do here is now we will pass now in this, after this let us pass a palindrome number, that is 1 to 1. Let us pass and let us see this here. Now you get here 1 to 1 is a palindrome number. So now what we will do, I will just clear the terminal again here and we will just comment this out, console.log number and console.log revstr, that is a reverse string. Okay, then once again let us run. Now you will just get that particular statement that it is a palindrome number or not a palindrome number, correct? Yeah, now let us recap once again. So this is what we have done it here, right? So we are able to execute this correctly. We are able to understand what is palindrome, what is not palindrome. So let's have a quick recap of this question. So what we have done, we have found out what is a palindrome number. What is a palindrome number? When you read it from start to end, and when you read it from end to start, it has to be the same. So a number is a palindrome number only if we read it from backward and forward, it is same, that is known as a palindrome number. So that means original number is equal to reverse number. For that we will have to use all these 4 methods into this, that is reverse, split, toString and join, correct? Because reverse method is an array method. So first this number has to be converted into an array. For converting into an array, we will have to use a split method. But split method needs a string. So we will have to convert this number into a string. And then when everything is done, we will have to join everything, right? Because the output comes till here is an array. And we need it in a string to compare. So that is why we will join it and we will make it in a string and we will compare it off. Okay. So then we have written a function, we have converted into a string. Then that string we have split it up and we got our individual elements in an array. Then we have reversed it up and later on we have joined up so that we can compare as well. So after comparison using if else statement, we got that it is a palindrome or not a palindrome. And at the last what we have done here, we have just invoked it to test our function what we have written for a palindrome number, correct? So that is what is a palindrome number, and that is how you are going to check that a given number is a palindrome or not. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is all about calculating the sum of digits of a number. So let's dive right into our challenge and we will move to a VS Code. And if you see in the VS Code, the question is already mentioned that write a JavaScript function that calculates the sum of a digit of a given number. So let's break down this particular question. So what we will do here, we will write here, we'll take this JavaScript function and we will put it over here. Okay. Then What is the next thing? What is the next part of this question? That we have to calculate the sum of a given digit of a number, right? So then what we will come here? We will come here and we will put this as well, okay? Now, this function is related to what? Sum of a digits, right? So let us create a function name like sum digits, okay? This is what we are going to do it, okay? Now, the next line, what we have written, sum of a digits of a given number, right? So then what we will do here is, suppose we take an example, 345 is the number. I'm assuming this as a number. So what this question is expecting from us that we have to do here is 3 plus 4 plus 5. And the addition of this 3 digits will come out as a 12, right? So 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 12. So that is what it is expecting, that we have to calculate the each digit addition. You have to add up, you have to sum up everything together, and that would be your resultant value, okay? Now, what approach we are going to follow here? The approach we will follow, if you can observe here very nicely, that we are splitting it up, right? A number we are going to split. So in JavaScript, we have a split method, right? We are going to use a split method, and in the parenthesis, I am going to pass an empty string. Why? Because we want to split it without a space. So that will get splitted into 3, 4, and 5. And this is a string method. Don't forget this. This is a string method. It returns an array. It returns an array, but it is a string method. So then if it is a string method, it needs a string, right? So if it needs a string, but this is a number, so then we cannot use this, correct? So then what we will do it, since we have to use a split method, we have one more method in JavaScript, that is toString, right? So this toString method, we are going to use it. Now this toString method will what do? It will convert it into a string, right? Since it is going to convert it into a string, then we can what do? We can split it up and we can use this up, right? So it will return into an array. Now after splitting it up, what will happen? It will convert it into an individual digit as a string, right? So then what we will do, that individual digit we are going to use as a %. So we will use a %. Okay, then what we will do, we will use a % and we will pass that individual digit to this, so that it converts into a number again, and then we can add up. It converts again into a number, or you can say into an integer, and then we will again sum up everything. So for summing up, what we will take, we will take a variable, one more variable, that is sum is equal to 0. We will initialize with 0, and then we are going to do it, okay? So let's write down our JavaScript function. And whatever I have explained, guys, this all we have covered in the previous videos, that is from day 1 to day 11, guys. So please do watch out all the videos once again, so that your concepts will get clear, okay? So then let's write down here function and some digits I will write, okay? And then let us invoke this function here. As we invoke it, let us pass this number. As of now, I will pass the same number as 345, okay? Now, since we are passing here as an argument, we will receive here as a parameter. So I will just write here as a number. And what we will do then, we will come here and we will just console it. So I will come here and I will write here what? Console.log number. Now, when you see this here, let us run here. So it is our 12th day, right? So I'll write here node, and 12 is our file name. So I'll use this. Then you get 345 here, right? So that means we are able to access our number, and we are able to take this number. Now we will process ahead for doing the calculations what we wanted, right? So now this function is successfully executed. Now what we will do it, this number is there, right? Now let us convert into a string and then split it up. So what we will do, let us create here one variable, that is, or declare one variable called as a digits array. I will write here a digits array, and then what I will do, number I will write here, then number, and then what we will do, toString on this, right? So let us use a toString, and on this toString, it will return, convert it into a string. So whatever the number is there, it will return into a string. right? After that, I will just use a split method, and this split method without a space. That means empty quotes or an empty string. Now just console this and see what do we get, okay? So I'll come here and I will write here digits array, okay? Now come here and run it one more time. You get 3, 4, 5, but it is a string. That is what I told you. After you convert into a string and convert it into an array, it will be in a string. So we will have to use now parsing to convert each digit into an integer, and then you have to sum up, okay? Now since you see here, now we have to sum up on each digit, right? So then what we will take here, we will take a for loop, okay? So let's come here and take a for loop. Then let I is equal to, we are going to start with 0 and we will end up at what? Digits array dot length. So we will end up over here, right? And then we will write here I plus plus, because we need to increment it, right? Now let us just console our I, okay? And as well, let us console our digits of array of I as well. Let us see both we are getting it properly or not. Now once again, we will come here and we will run it our file. So you see I got 3, 4, 5 and the index numbers. That means it is successfully running, correct? So now what we will do here is, we will have to convert into an integer as well, correct? So what we will do, let us take one more variable. That is what we have decided here, that we will initialize that, we pass it, okay? And now what we will do is, now since it is going to sum up every time, 3 times the loop is going to run, right? So 3 times it will run and it will complete its addition and it will store into sum. Now what we will do, since we want to get the final value, so that's why we will what do, we will print outside the loop. So we will come here and we will console our sum here, okay? Now you will come here and once again, if you run it, you will get the addition as 12. So we have successfully executed this. So 3 times this loop is running, and then we are able to add up everything and we are putting inside the sum. Now I have taught you in the previous videos that we can even do more improvisation in this sum. So what we will do, we will come here and what we will write, we will write here sus is equal to, we will write, and then what we will write here, that parse int of, we will take the same thing and we can just write here, okay? So sum is equal to sum plus digits of array is the same, nothing but sum is equal to digits of array of I, and that digits of array of I, you need to put it in the parsing because we need to add up here, okay? So the sum value will remains the same, right? Now if you run it once again, you will get here the same output. See here 12 you are getting. So when you do this, the sum is equal to 12 we will get every time, okay? Because we are passing 3, 4, 5. Now let us invoke one more time and you get it here what? 789, suppose you pass, you will get one another. Let us clear the terminal first and then we will run our file one more time. So note 12, and if you see here, we got this 24 here as well. So what we will do, let us just comment this. Let us just comment this as well. And let us comment this digits array as well, and let us run it one more time by clearing the console. So we will come here and we will run it here. That is, we are getting 12 and 24. Now let us improvise our console.log. So what we will do here is, let us write the, what we are going to write, let us take it from here, the sum of a digit of a given number. So let us take it here and we will put it here as well. Now this number is nothing but the number which we have got it from here. So I'll just put this into a flower braces using a template syntax, and then let us run it one more time. And if you see here, we get the sum of a digits of a given 345 12. So let us remove this given, or we can write here given number. So let us remove this. There is no need of this. So we will remove this and let us make this as a capital now. So I'll come here and I'll save it. And once again, let us clear the console and let us run one more time. So you get properly the sum of a digits of a 345 is 12, and this is what 789 is 24. Okay, so we are successfully able to get this. Okay, now what we will do here is, let us just recap one more time what we have understood from this problem. What this question is expecting, this question is expecting to sum up all the digits, right? So this question is expecting this part, right? So how we can come to this point in JavaScript? First, we will have to split them up. But splitting is a string method, right? So whenever we are using a split method, it's a string method. So what we can do now, since it is a string method, we need a string. This is a number, 345 is a number. So we will what do? We will use toString method to convert into a string. Now after you use a toString method and then you split it up, what happens? It converts each digit into a string, correct? So then what we will do? We will use a parseInt of all every time, and then we will parseInt that and we will convert it into a integer. Okay, so now let's understand here the same thing we have done. Function sum of a digit, we are taking a parameter as a number and we are converting here into an array, first into a string, and then we are splitting it up. It will return an array, and since it is returning an array, we can use a loop like it is running 3 times. Okay, then we have initialized with I is equal to 0, and then we are have declared a sum variable here so that we can add up all the sum and store it here, and then we are converting each digit into what? Into an integer, and then we are summing up, and then here we are consoling it up. And then if you see here, we have written sum of a digit, and then if you see, we are able to get the clear output in the console. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is all about finding the reverse of a given number. If a number is negative, then reverse number should also be negative. So let's dive right into the today's challenge and let's proceed solving this question. So if we come here in the VS Code, this question is already mentioned, right? So write a JavaScript function that finds the reverse of a given number. If the number is negative, the reverse number should also be negative, right? So let's break down this question and put it down over here. So then we have to write a JavaScript function. So I'll take this and I'll put it over here. Okay, then in the next line, we can see here that we have to find out reverse of a given number. So this also I'll take it over here and I'll put it over here. And in the next statement, it is written the number is negative, right? So we have to handle the negative numbers as well properly. That means if a number is negative, the reverse number should also be negative. So then what we will do here is, since this function is related to a reverse of a number, we will write a function name with a reverse number. Okay, so we'll create a function with this particular name, that is reverse number. Okay, so with this, with followed by parenthesis, correct? Now in the next line, what it is written? Reverse of a given number, right? So what we will have to do it, we will have to understand first how to find out the reverse of a number, correct? So then suppose if our number is 345, so what will be the reverse? It will be 543, right? The opposite sides we have to start, right? So then we will do it 543, right? If suppose the number is what? 12, then what it will be here coming up? It will come here as 21. Suppose if you have a negative number, that is minus 12, then it has to be what? Minus 21. Correct? This is what this question is expecting from us. Okay. So let us proceed with this question now. Now what we have to do? Now in JavaScript, we know to find out a reverse, we have a reverse method, right? They have provided us with a method called as a reverse, right? So we'll use this method. But this method is what? It's an array method. It also returns an array, but it's an array method. That means this number has to be converted into an array. So to convert into an array, what we will do? We will use a split method. And that too, we will use a split method without a space. Okay, remember this, without a space, we are going to use it. So just with the empty quotes. So then what we will do here is split method, and this will help us to split the particular 345 to 345 individual items. But here again there is a twist, that it needs a string because it's a string method. Okay, it needs a string method. So then what we are going to do it here, since it needs a string, we have to convert this into a string again. So then what we will use it here, we are going to use a toString method to convert it into a string. Okay, so first we will convert into a string, then we will split this up, and then we will reverse it up. And after reversing it up, what we are going to do, we have to use a join method as well, correct? So that we can join it up together and it will bring out together as a one number, or we can say it will be a string, correct? So then this is what we are going to do it over here. So let us come here and let's proceed with this. Okay, then we will come to this part as well. Okay, so let us first complete till here. If you see in the previous videos, I have explained this again. So here also once again I have explained you. So I request you to please watch the previous videos as well. Okay, so let us write a function with a function name reverse number. Okay, so we'll take up here and we'll put it over here with a parenthesis, and then that particular number, whatever it is there, we will pass it through argument, right? So let us suppose we will pass 345 itself, and let us accept it over here. So I'll write here number. Then what we will do, console.log number, right? So then what we have to do here, we will come and we will run our particular file. Let us test our function, whether it is running successfully or not. So we will write here 13, okay, because today's challenge is 13. So we get here 345, right? So we have in place everything here, correct? Now what is the next thing we will do here is, since we have tested, now let us convert it into a string, then split it up and then reverse it up and then join it up. So all this in one line we are going to do it. Okay, so let us come here and let us start solving this out. So I will take here what, let revstr. Okay, this I am going to take it over here. And then what I will do it in this, I am going to convert into a string. So let's do one thing, that what we will do, instead of directly doing everything, let's convert into a string first and then let us do it. So I'll write here let numstr, okay, first, and then we will take this number dot to string. Okay, so this method will convert it into a string and we will have into num string. Now in the next line, let us take a let revstr is equal to numstr. To this we are going to now split it up, that also without a space. So we'll come here and we'll do that, and now let us just console and see what do we get here. So I'll console.log and revstr. If you do, then if you run once again this particular file, you get 345. That means we have successfully converted into an array using a split method. So first string and then splitting. After that, what we are going to do here is, in the next thing what we will do, then we will have to reverse. So let us use a reverse method again. So here we will use a reverse method. And if you see now, I will get 543. So you can easily compare that it has got reversed. Now to join up, I will use a join method, right? That too without a space, correct? Because I want to view it similar to this. So that is what I will do it here. Now you can see here, I got 345 in the first line, and here I'm getting 543. Okay. So this is what we have done. So we have successfully reversed it up. Okay. But the problem comes here when you make this reverse number as a negative. Suppose I make this minus 345. Then what will happen? So if you come here and you see it is coming, see minus 345 was our number, right? But we are getting 543 and hyphen, correct? So this is where is the challenge. This is where is the twist we have to solve. To do that, what we are going to use, we are going to use a math.sign method. Now what does it does? It returns the sign of that number. Returns the sign of that number. How it will return the sign of that number? That means what we are going to do here is, suppose you take your number as 345. So it will return you 1, a positive integer, okay? And if you put as minus 345, it will return as minus 1. And if your number is suppose 0, it will return you as a 0. So this is what it works out. This is how it is going to work out. So any number, it returns the sign of that number, I would say, that is in a positive, in a negative, and a 0 form. Okay, so then what we are going to do here is, we have to do the same here, but then this number is a string, correct? So what we will do here is, now this number which we have got this number after the conversion, it is a string, right? So we will convert it into a integer by using what? Parse int. So here one more method we will use, that is a parse int. So what I will write, till now it was renamed as what? revstr. Now we will come here and name it as what? revnum. Okay, so this will be revnum. So this will be reverse of a number, correct? Then what I will do here is parse int I will do, and in this I will pass our rev string. Okay, let us just console this once again, a reverse of a number, and you will see what we get here. So I'll just save it and I will rerun it over here. So if you see, I get here what? If you see, the output is 543. Let us clear the console and you can see this very nicely. Let us come here and let us comment this off. Okay. Let us understand with the negative numbers itself. Okay. Now you see, we were getting first, it was minus 345, this number. After reversing, you got this. And after that, when you pass int, it converted into an integer, that is just, it is giving me 543, but the minus sign has got, right? It is not there. So then what we are going to do? So we will multiply, because it returns 1 minus 1. If it's a negative number, it is going to return minus 1, right? So we will what do? We are going to multiply this math dot sign, and we will pass our number to this, okay? Because it is having a negative positive, right? So we are going to directly do this. And now when you run it over here, you get what? Minus 453. Can you see this? So if it is 345 negative number, you get in a form of a negative number itself. So I'll just comment it off and I'll come here and I will remove this as well. Now you see, you will just get here minus 543, correct? And if you pass this as well, you will get 543. So whatever you are going to pass it, it is not going to throw any error. It is going to work, so that we have successfully written our code to handle both positive number and a negative number. So with this question, if you see here, the number is negative. We are getting the reverse also of a number as a negative only. So if I have to recap it, what all methods we have used reverse, we have split, we have used toString, then after that parseInt, and one method also we have used, that is math.sign. So what we have done, we have written a function over here, correct? And this is taking a number, correct? And then we are converting into a string, then we are splitting that particular string and then reversing it up and then together joining it up, correct? And after that, after joining it up, what we have done, since we want to handle the negative numbers as well properly, that is where we have converted that string to a number, and we are multiplying with math.sign and passing the number to that, so that we should get, if it is a negative, we will multiply it with minus 1. If it is a positive, it will multiply with 1. And if it is 0, it will multiply with 0. So at all the instances, we are going to get the correct value, right? So then if you console.log your reverse number, you get this particular output. Let us clear the console and once again test it. See, this is with a positive number and this is with a negative number. So let us improvise our console little bit here. So I will come here and I'll use a template literal syntax, and we will write here the reverse of a given number, or we can say the reverse of a given number. And in place of that number, we will pass our original number, that is flower braces. And we will pass our number here, and I will just write a colon. Let us see how we can see in the console. See, we got properly like this. So our reverse of a number, it looks fine, right? In the console, clear it up, rerun it one more time. You get this reverse of number 345 is 543. Reverse of a negative number, that is minus 345 is minus 543. So this is what we have successfully done, both the things here, that if a number is a positive, it is giving me a proper number. And if a number is a negative, we are also able to handle the reverse number, that in a negative form as well, correct? Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is generating a random number from 0 to a specified value, excluding the specified value. Okay, so let's dive right into our today's challenge, and we will move to our VS Code. So if we come here, we can see here in the VS Code, the question is already mentioned, right? Write a JavaScript function that generates a random number from 0 to a specified value, excluding the specified value. Okay, so let us break down the question here. So if we come here, we will take this JavaScript function and I'll put it over here. And what is the next thing we will do? We'll take this generate a random number from 0 to a specified value. That is the important thing. After this, what is the most important thing? That we have to take care that it should be excluding the specified value. Okay, so this is what I will put it over here. Now, since this function is related to generating a random number, so what we will do, we will come here and we will write a function or create a function called as a generate random number. Okay, so this is what we will do here is Now in the next line, what it is written, generate a random number from 0 to a specified value, right? So now first of all, what we will understand, how can we generate a random number, and then we will go from 0 to a specified value. Okay, so in JavaScript we have a math.random method. Using this we are going to get our random numbers. Okay, now this method, what does it provide? It provides from 0 to 1. In this also 0 will be included. Okay, 0 will be what, included, and 1 will be excluded. This is what your math.random provides. So if I have to tell you the range will be what, 0 to, it will be 0.999. Okay, it will never reach to 1, it will be always less than 1. So if we see, if it is 0, it is fine, but other than that, normally we will get what, decimal values. Okay, so this is what math.random is going to provide. Now we want to generate a random number from 0 to a specified value, right? So this one is giving from 0 to, correct, it is giving till 1. Okay, but the start point we have got it from here itself, correct? So then we will use this method only. So we will what do, we'll come here and we will take this method, and this method has to be multiplied by your specified value. So we will come here and we will put this is what it is going to give us till that point. Now it is excluding 1, correct? So obviously it will be excluding the specified value also. So when we use this one, math.random multiplied by the specified value, it will exclude your specified value as well. So it will justify this line as well here. Okay, so suppose if we take a value called as a 10, so math.random has to generate from 0 to what, it will generate till 10. Okay, but in this 0 will be what, included, and 10 will be what, excluded every time, correct? So this is what it is going to give us. So this is what was our question, right? Excluding the specified value. So we are able to get it. So the range will start from 0 to 0 to 9.9999, correct? It will never reach to 10, but it will always be what, from 0 to 9.999, right? Now here also we will get the decimal values, right? As I've explained here, the same here as well, right? If it is 0, 1, 2, it is okay, but other than that we will always get what, the decimal values here as well. So then what we will do, we will use one more method, that is math.floor. Okay, what it will do, it will convert it into an integer. But how? It will rounds down the value. Okay, so it will what do, it will rounds down the value. So if I have to explain you, if you have to remember this, how can you remember it? You can remember by this floor. If you know this floor, where is the floor? Floor is down, right? That is why it always rounds down the value. So if I take here example of 10 itself. So suppose we get 9.5. Suppose we get 9.2. Okay, suppose we get 9.9. So but if we use the other methods, it will, if it is 9.5, 9.6, it will round up, right? But we don't want the 10, correct? It has to be excluding. That is why always we will use this math.floor, and when you use math.floor, this 9.5 will become 9, this 9.2 will become 9, and this 9.9 will also become 9. So there will be no case where you are going to get 10. So that is why we will use this math.floor method. It will rounds down the value, and at the end of the day you will get the integer value. Okay, so that is why we are going to use this math.floor as well. Okay, so now let us come here and let us start writing our function, and we'll see how we will use this. So we'll come here and we will write here a function, and with the name as generate random number, correct? And here we will quickly invoke this function here as well. So we'll come here and I'll write it here, and from here I will pass that 10 from here as a argument, right? As a argument, and we will receive it here in a param as a max value. Okay, now what we will do, this will be our params, and let us quickly console it here and let us test our function. Correct? So I'll come here and I'll write here max value, and what we will do, we will come here, and this challenge is today's is 18. So I have saved the file with the 18 challenge question. So I'll write here node 18, and you can see here that it is coming 10. That means this function is successfully running, right? Now what we will do, we will see this one first, that mat.random, what does it provide? So we will come here, and since it is going to give a decimal value, so we will just create a variable called as a const, and we'll create here random decimal. Okay, and then what we will do here is we will use this math.random here. So I'll come here and I'll write here math.random, and I will just call this function, and we will console it to check what we are getting. So we'll come here and we will do what? Random decimal. Okay, I'll come here and we will once again run this particular file, and you can see I'm getting 0.28. I'll run 2-3 times so that you can check 0.35, right? 0.56. It will never go to 1. It will always be less than 1. That is 0.999. Correct? That is what it is giving us. Okay, so this will be our range. So this we have done it successfully, right? Now what I said here is that if we want to get a specified value, we have to multiply that specified value, right? So we are successfully getting this part, right? So this mat.random has been successfully executed, right? Now what we want from 0 to a specified value, right? We want this, correct? So what we will do here is we have to multiply the specified value, right, to a mat.random. So we will come here and I will multiply this with our max value, correct? And now I will clear the terminal one more time and we will run it here. Now, if you see here, what do we get? 3.13. Again and again, we are going to get what? 9.58. If I run it again, you will get 9.13, but it will never reach to 10 because it is always excluding, right? So we are able to get this. But what is this? But whenever we are getting it, what is happening? It is getting in a decimal values, right? That is what I said. Most of the time we will get a decimal value. So what we will do here is we will convert it into a integer, and we have to use what? Math.floor for that. So what I will do, I will come here and create a variable called as a const random integer. Okay, and we will come here and we will use our math.floor method, and in this I will pass my random decimal here, and we will again console here our random integer. Okay, and we will just run in our terminal. I'll clear the terminal once again and let us run it. If you see, I'm getting now, it was 4.37, but we are getting 4. If you run it here, 8.8 and it is 8. If you run here, it is 9.86. You can see here we are getting 9. This is what I explained here, right? If it is 9.9 also, you will get the same. 9.6 is 9, 3.6 is 3. So it is never reaching the higher point, right? It is rounding down your value. So we are successfully able to get the integer value, right? Now, if you want to change the number, you can come here and you can change the range as well. From 0 to, suppose if I make it 15, you can get it till 15 as well. So I'll clear the terminal once again and we will run it over here. You get it here as well, that the number is 15, but we are getting 14.15 and it is the random integer is 14, right? So this we are able to get it. So what we will do it here is, now we will just comment out this one and this one as well, and we will improvise our console.log. Okay, so we'll come here and we will take it from here as well, generate a random number 0 to a specified value, and then we will edit up here. Okay, so I'll put it over here. So it generates what? It generates a random number from 0 to a specified value. That specified value is nothing but our max value. So I will put up here, and excluding again the specified value. So we have to just put this here again. So I will put it here and we will put a colon here, right? And as soon as I put colon, and if we run and test it, let us run it, what we get. So we will clear the terminal and we can get here what? Random number from 0 to 10, excluding the 10 is 5. Here we are getting, and let us run one more time. I'll just increase here the terminal and you can see in one line now. Let us run it. You get 0 and 0. Sometimes you can get 0. Sometimes you will get it another numbers, right? You can get similar, you can get different, but it will be always within that particular range. Okay, so 8 and 4 now you are getting, so you will get it like this. So that is okay. So sometimes you can get same numbers because it is generating a random number for us, right? So we have improvised our console.log as well, and we are successfully executed this particular function. Okay, so if I have to do a recap, what we have done, we first tested here what math.random, that is it generating from 0 to 1 where 1 is excluded. It was giving us the correct output, right? And then what we do, we wanted but till the specified value, right? So we multiplied with a specified value. Here we have done the same. Our specified value was nothing but the max value, so we have done that. And if we came here down, we have converted that into an integer by using what math.floor. So it is always rounding down, it is never up, because it is math.floor. Where is floor? Floor is always down, so it will always round down the value, and it is giving us the integer value, correct? And here what we have done, we have just printed in the console, and we have improvised our console.log statement as well. And here what we are doing, we have invoked this particular function properly so that this function runs up correctly. So we are passing here what the number, that particular range, or we can say the specified value. So from 0 to the specified value, it is coming here and printing. So this question, if we see, we have successfully executed that. It is generating a random number, that it is successfully executing a random number from 0 to a specified value, excluding the specified value, correct? So this is successfully done. Okay, so now once again I will just clear the terminal, and one more time I will just run it and show you all here. So if you see, it is successfully generating for both the point, that is 0 to 10 and 0 to 15, where it is clearly mentioned it is excluding the 10 and it is excluding the 15, correct? So in today's challenge, guys, we have explored how to generate a random number between 0 and a specified value using JavaScript, right? So we used what math.random along with math.floor to achieve that. Let's move to our next challenge, and this challenge is generating a random number from 0 to a specified value, including the specified value. Okay, so this is our question. So let's dive right into today's challenge, and let's move towards our VS Code. Now, if you see in the VS Code, the question is already mentioned, right? That is, write a JavaScript function that generates a random number from 0 to a specified value, including the specified value, right? So now let us come here and break down this particular question. Now, what is the important part in this question? That it is, we have to write a JavaScript function, right? So we will come here and put it here. After that, generates a random number from 0 to a specified value, right? So that also I'll take it and I'll put it here. After that, what is the last important point here? Including the specified value. So that also I will put it here. Okay. Now since this question is related to generating a random number, so we will come here and create a function called as a generate random number. So I'll take here and I'll put it here. I'll just write random number here with the parenthesis. So this will be our function name. Okay. Guys, yesterday in day 18 video, I have explained how math.random works to generate a random number, but that is excluding the specified value. So there you have the basics of it. If you have missed out, definitely please go and watch out, okay, the day 18 video. Okay, now let us come back here as well. So I will explain you here what we are going to do. What would be the approach here now? Now, if you see here, in this question, we have to generate a random number. So what is the method we are going to use? We will be using math.random, right? So we will be using what? Math.random. And what does it provide? It provides a random number, but there is a range to it. So what it is going to provide? It is going to provide from 0 to 1. Okay, where 0 will be included and 1 will be what? Excluded. So if I have to tell you the range of this, what will be the range? The range will be from 0, because it is included, right? So 0 to 9.9999 like that. Okay, but it will never reach to 1. It will never go to 1, but it will always be less than 1. But the range will be 0 to 9.999 like that. Okay, and most of the cases, we will be getting the decimal values as well. This is what I have explained yesterday also. Okay, in the yesterday's video, there you have the same thing. So do watch out that as well. Okay. Now after this, now this is going to generate a random number between 0 to 1 where 1 is excluded. Correct. Now, what is our question? First of all, we have to generate a random number from 0 to a specified value. Correct. So we will focus on this. Okay. How we can generate from 0 to specified value, and later on we will see how we can include this as well. Okay. Now let us come here and let us understand this. So what we have to do here, we will have to multiply our specified value to math.random. So come here, put this math.random here and multiply the specified value. So what happens? Your range will increase. So what you will get? You will get 0 to the specified value. What you will get? 0 to the specified value. So suppose you take a random number you want to generate. Suppose I am passing a number 10. So the range will be what? It is going to 0 to 10. But in the scenario, what will happen? 0 will always be included and specified value will always be excluded, correct? Because the range will start from 0 to 9.999. Got it? So here also this will be included, your 0 will be included and your 10 will be excluded. But our question is what now? We have to make it included, right? In this scenario, what we are doing it is going to be excluded. So here what we have to do, we have to make sure that our specified value is included. That means right now we are passing as 10. So 10 should be what? It should be included. So what we will do here in this case then, if we want to make it included, then we will increase this 10 by 1. So what we will do, we will always, whenever you want to include this, you will make this 10 plus 1. So what it will become? It will become 11. Any number you can try. If it is 15, make it 15 plus 1. It will be 16. Now, you will get what? Now your range will increase by 1. Correct? Your range will increase by 1. So it will give you what? 0 to 11, where 11 will be excluded. Correct? So your range will now, and this will be included, right? So what will be your range then? So since this is included and that is excluded, so your range will be what? 0 to 10.999, till this will be your range, correct? Now, what will happen now? This will be our range, correct? Now, in this now, we are going to again get decimal values only, correct? So we want to get the integer values now. So now here it is included, but it is going beyond, right? So that also we don't want. Also, what do we want? We will convert it into an integer and we don't want this. So what we will use, if you have watched yesterday's video, we have used math.floor. What does math.floor does? It round downs the value. What does it does? It round downs the value. So how it round downs the value? You have to remember by the word floor. Floor means where is the floor? Floor is down, right? So you can remember very easily, it will round down. Rounding up means what? Suppose you have 8.5. So rounding up means what? This is rounding up. It becomes 9. But rounding down means what? This is up. Okay. So what is rounding down if I have to explain? So you'll come here and we'll write down. And if I suppose I have a value called as 8.5. So what will happen? It will be 8 only. Okay. If it is 8.6, it is still 8. If you have 8.1, it is still 8. It will never go to the higher value. It will always round down. If you have 8, still it is 8 only, right? So this is what you are going to get it. So you will never reach to 11. So suppose you are getting 10.9, 10.8, 10.2. It will remain always 10 only. So that is where this condition also specified that it should be including the specified value. It will never go beyond that. So by doing this, what we will get, we will make sure that it is included also. And since we are using math.floor, it will restrict the other part, like this part. It will not come 999, 10.2. It will always give us 10. So it will restrict the decimal values and it will give us only the integer value. So this is what is the approach we are going to do. Okay, so we will be adding up 1 to the specified value. Okay, our function name, what we have decided, it was generate a random number, right? So we will put it over here and let us quickly invoke this function. And we have decided that 10 will be the specified value. So 10, I will pass it from here as an argument. Okay, and we will receive here as a parameter as a max value. So we will come here and I'll pass it over here, and this will be our params. Okay, now quickly I'll write here console.log max value to test our function. So we will come here and we will what do node, and I'll come here and write 19. Why? Because our today's challenge is what? Day 19. So I will write here day 19 challenge question, and you see we will get here 10. So we are able to successfully test our function and it is running successfully, right? Now what is the next thing we are going to do? We are going to generate a random number from 0 to 1, where 0 is included and 1 is excluded. So we will just test this now, math.random. So I'll come here and let us come here and store it into a variable const random decimal, because we are going to get most of the time decimal only. So we will come here and we will write here math.random. Okay, and let us just console this. Okay, so we'll come here and console it, console.log random decimal, and I'll just comment out our max value. Okay, so we will come here and we'll just write it over here. You see 0.4, you see 0.3, right? Most of the time you are going to get the decimal values only. How much ever I will run this file, you're going to get the same. So that means we are successfully able to get our random decimal, that is our math.random is working, correct? Now what is the next thing? We will multiply this by our specified value. So our specified value is nothing but the max value. So I'll come here and I'll multiply by this, okay? So when I multiply this and when I now test it, I'll clear the terminal. And when I now test it, I will always get 7.5, means it will be always excluding our 10. But our question was not excluding the 10, right? We will always get excluding the 10, right? So then what I said here, what we are supposed to do, just add 1. Whatever is the specified value, increase it by 1, and then the value will become 11. If your value is 15, add it 1, it will become 16. If it is 20, add 1, it will become 21. Got it? So to your max value, we will come here and we will type here what? Plus 1. So as soon as you make it, the range will increase, right? Now it will be 11, correct? Since this is 10, it will be 11. Come here and once again test it now. Clear the console and come here and we will write this once again. Now you're getting 0.717, 4 point. Again and again you are going to get it, right? It will now see you're getting 10.88. I told you, right? You will get 0 to 10.99. So this is what you are able to get this, correct? So we are able to get 10 point something, correct? Now we wanted 10 should be included, correct? That is what we have done, but we are getting this after that decimal values also, right? So to get rid of it, we will what do? We will convert it into an integer, and we cannot do round up, right? We have to do round down. So we will use what? Math.float, okay? So we will come here and we will create a variable called as a const random integer, okay, is equal to what we will do? We will come here and we will write math.float. And we will pass this random decimal to this and we will console it and now check. So console your random integer and just test our function once again. Let us clear the terminal and you come here and you will see here that you are getting 5.4. That time also it is 5. If you are getting 9.6, it is 9. Suppose I get 2.9, it is 2. You can see at any point of time, see here, it is 4.0. Then also it is 4. So at any point of time, how much ever you are trying, it is not going to get the highest value. It is floor. So floor is where? Down. So it will always round down the value. You can see here again and again, if you check it out, you will get this only. So we are able to get this, right? I showed you about the 10 also last time. Right now, it is generating a random number. So it is not coming that point now. But fine, I have already shown you. Okay, I'm trying to get the random number of 8 or 9 something, but not able to get it right now. But fine, I have showed you that 10.99 right now, right? So that was, we were able to execute it, right? So this is what we have done it, okay? Now what we will do it, let us invoke one more time and let us pass argument as 15, okay? So let us test it with 15 as well. So we will come here and we will one more time and let us comment this out, okay? And let us generate it now. Now you will see here what we are getting, one time 4, another time 5. Then you can see here. Now it is 11, okay? You can see it is crossing that bar. Here it was 10, right? We have given 15. So it is coming here 13. So you can see the range has already increased as soon as you gave that, okay? So now what we will do, let us come here and let us improvise our console.log statement. So we will come here and we will put comma here and we will use our template literals. Inside this, what we will do, we will copy this from here, generates a random number, including the specified value till here, and we will put it inside this directly, okay? And now let us correct this. So we will write here generate and I will put here capital, okay? Now what we will do here is capital generate we have written and we have written colon here. 0 to a specified value. What is our specified value? Nothing but our max value. So take here as a max value including the specified value, right? So come here and take here as well the same thing. Now let us test it while running. So I'll write here node 19. And now you can see, now I will just increase the console here. Generate a random number from 0 to 10, including the 10, it is 4. And here 0 to 15, including the 15, it is 12, right? So now what you are able to get it? So if you come here, you see here, now see, this time we successfully able to get 10. It is 10 point something something, but you are getting the 10. That means right now we have justified this. It is including, right? We have got output as a 10. So it is including the 10, correct? So now let us come here and let us do a recap of what we have done. What we have done here is we have created a function called as a generate random number, correct? Because our function was asking us to generate a random number from 0 to a specified value, including the specified value, right? Then after that, we understood how can we generate a random number from 0 to 1, where 1 will be excluded, right? Then we also understood how can we increase the range from 0 to 1, from 0 to 10, right? This also we did. So this here we increase the range. But then when we increase the range, the last value was excluded, right? Always. So then what we thought, how we put the logic here, we increase the value by 1 to make sure that the specified value is also included. So that is what we have done here, 10 plus 1, 11. But the output we will get always as a 10.999, right? Because the range is still 11. It will never reach to 11, but we can get 10.99, right? So that is where to restrict this, we used what? Math.flow. It will help us to get rid of this also, and it will convert it into integer also, right? Since it is going to convert it into an integer, we are going to get rid of this, right? And we are going to round down. That is why what we are using? Floor, math.floor, correct? So you can see here the values, right? If it is 8.5, it will be 8. If it is 8.6, it will be 8. If it is 8.1, it will be 8. If it is 8, it will be 8, right? This is what we get it here. So that itself, we have put it inside the function, that generating a function here. So we have created a function with a generate random number, right? And then we used our math.random and max value plus 1, we have multiplied to this math.random. And we have consoled and tested the decimal values. And that is where we converted into an integer and we have round down using the math.float, correct? And then we have improvised our console, correct? After that, we have invoked this function 2 times, one by passing the value as 10 and another by passing the value as 15. Got it? And if you see in the console, luckily we got here including the 10 and we are able to see the output as 10 as well. Got it?